Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to this conference. It is the Proactive Parent Conference 2024, and I'm glad to welcome every one of you to this platform. 2024 conference, as usual, is God's design and project. And so we are here again to set the expectations right? We want to set the expectation for this conference. Are you ready? Make sure that anyone in your circle, your family, your friends, you are sharing this link immediately so that they can join us. It's going to be an amazing time in the next 6 days. 18 speakers, right? From different fields. It's going to be an amazing ride. So make sure that anyone around you is part of this conference. A parent, an intending parent, any significant adults should be part of this conversation. It's power packed, like the sessions are all going to be awesome, right? And before we get into the sessions and the amazing speakers we're going to be hosting in the next 6 days, I want us to lay a background for what the Proactive Parents Conference is about, right? And then what the Parents Conference expectation is for this 2024. This year, we are looking at the theme, Be More, planting, rooting, and uprooting. We have sent yesterday, I think yesterday or thereabouts, we sent out prayer requests across our platforms asking parents to pray up, like get prepared for this session. Let it not just be business as usual, right? We sent those prayer requests so that we can prepare ourselves, fire up for the conference, because we want everyone to have an encounter. We want everybody to have an encounter in this conference. It's not going to be just, conference as usual, come listen and just leave. We want to have an encounter. It could be an encounter that God will give you directions, an encounter through the scriptures you'll be hearing, an encounter of knowledge. It could be light. It could be anything. The main thing is that we want every parent to come prepared and actually have an encounter with God, because on this mountain, a banquet has been prepared. A banquet of knowledge has been prepared to fire us up and help us become these mighty men that have the arrows in their hands, right? We need to set the expectations straight, like I've said earlier. And this year, again, we have the theme given to us, Be More, planting, rooting, and uprooting. What exactly are we planting? What have been planted in the past, right? Many of us do not even understand that the way we were raised, our experiences, our past, our childhood traumas, everything that we have carried all our life, the things that have programmed us all our life, these are all seeds that have been planted in us. Like I always say, parenting is programming, and we have been programmed over the years with a lot of things. So some things have been planted, and some things have been rooted, and some things actually need to be uprooted. And then the same way we got into parenting. Of course, no one of us got prepared. Very few people get prepared for that journey, right? And then when we get into that parenting system, we continue the way it has always been, because that's the way we were raised. So when people say we don't have template for raising human beings, I'm like, I do not totally agree to that, because whatever we are doing, whether intentional or not, is already the template we're using to program the children, to program the young generation that is coming after us. So we want to really know what have been planted in the past, what have been rooted in the past, what do we need to uproot with the things we are doing now, what are we also planting, right? So we need to understand that this is the foundation. And that's why we want to set the record straight. We want to set the expectations straight. Because on this mountain and banquet of knowledge, God is going to reveal to us and show us directions, angles, areas where we need to start looking inwards, right? That's why we want to use this conference to do an excavation of what it is that is inside, right? Like I said, planting in this season of your journey is your experiences and how you were raised, the family, the abuse. Your abuses could be sexual, they could be psychological, they could be verbal, they could be emotional, right? And all of these things are all sorts of things that have been planted and rooted in our lives. And these things have limited us. And with the same limitations, we are also limiting our children because we do not even understand that something is limiting us. Parenting is a battlefield. I've always said it. Parents of the Beauty Home Tribe, hear me say this always. Where you fought and stopped, that's where your children or the next generation will start their own fight, right? So it is a battlefield that we must be intentional about the battle. And the battle will continue. It's not going to stop, right? That's why the work of becoming is paramount. Becoming is not something you just get into a day or a week or 1 year or 2 years. It's a process. It is a process, right? So we need to understand that the journey we are into also is a journey of process. And we keep getting better and better as we embrace knowledge. We keep getting better and better as we look inwards. We keep getting better and better as we look up to God who gave us these children, who is the owner of these seeds, right? Because he is the one who knows why these children, he gave us these children. And we must look up to him to actually know how and where these children should be going. The scripture said something, train up a child in the way he should go. So we need to understand what training up means. If training up is actually God's instruction for us, it means that um, there's a way they should go, right? So we need to understand that. Growing up, you have heard things over and again. You're stupid, you're crazy, you're bad, you're useless. You know, you have a lot of regrets. And they're actually the things our parents said to us or anybody said to us because they want us to be better. But those things didn't make us better because we were compared, you were just, everywhere. And suddenly you have become an adult who is struggling with low self-esteem. And with low self-esteem, you don't even know that you're dealing with something, you're battling with something. You don't feel like you're good enough. You don't even realize that this is the problem. And this is where we get stopped. And then we continue to repeat these things. That's why the Proactive Parents Conference 2024 is set to unravel the things that we need to start doing to plant the right seed, to uproot the things we need to uproot, and then to also, begin to intentionally walk through the journey of becoming, right? So welcome everybody to this platform. Thank you everyone who will be joining us in the next 6 days. Make sure that everybody within your circle is part of the conversation. It's gonna be an amazing, amazing journey. In fact, the world do not know what to hit them in the next 6 days. So I'm glad to welcome you. Thank you everybody who is joining us. We'll be going into the bits and pieces of this program. We'll be bringing up testimonials from parents of the Build Your Home Tribe, because in the journey of becoming, you need to get into a process. And that's what's, the holistic approach of digging deep and looking inwards means. So this conference is not just going to be after 6 days and that's the end. No, the beginning starts after the conference ends. That's where the journey begins. We begin to do the work of excavation, do the work of looking inwards, and that's why we run the program, the Build Your Home Tribe, where we now begin to do the work holistically and begin to learn what it is that we need to be able to become that which God wants us to be in the process of raising other humans. So we'll be taking the testimonial, and after that, we will be bringing up our speaker for this session, right? So stay tuned and make sure you share the link everywhere. Let the world know that something is happening in this platform. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to 2024, the Proactive Parents Conference.
think the just of choice everything for this system. They're not doing it. It's also very
Okay. Okay. Father is back here, and I can see him on the stage. So we're bringing him on now. The network disrupted the bio. I'm bringing him on now, and then we're going to be playing again his bio after his session. So, ladies and gentlemen, make welcome Reverend Father Dr. Ifeanyi Chukwuwaboso. Hello, Father.
Yes, thank you for welcoming me in this August conference.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I can hear you. I don't know whether you hear me too.
Okay, great.
I
I can hear you loud and clear, but we can't
Perfect.
see you yet. I think the network is interrupting this. I can't see you yet. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, can I start or I wait until it's
Yes,
visible?
please. Yes, you can start. You
Okay,
can start.
okay. This is the keynote address by Reverend Father Dr. Ifeanyi Chukwu Isaac Nwaboso to the 2024 Proactive Parenting Academy Conference on the theme, Be More Planting, Rooting, and Uprooting. I wish to welcome the chairperson, the convener, Mrs. Vivian Ijoma Ane, the secretary and the members of the media, my fellow speakers and presenters, distinguished parents and guardians, ladies and gentlemen, and friends who are joining us. I bring you warm greetings and good wishes from our humble community of persons living with disability in Abuja here. It is a great honor and a privilege to address this fourth section of the conference in Proactive Parenting Academy. I am confident that the objectives and the goals of the conference will be fulfilled under the dynamic leadership of the convener, Mrs. Vivian Ijoma. The theme of this year is Be More Rooting, Planting, and Uprooting, which are metaphors that have been used to describe different aspects of parenting process. Though my major task this evening is to talk on parenthood and contemporary time, quest to maintain focus. But before I enter into it, I wish to build a little link with the theme of this very year. This is because an effective parenting involves a balance of these three elements. Referring to rooting, which is also foundation work for parenting, which involves establishing a strong and safety, stability, love, and unconditional acceptance. It is about creating a solid emotional and psychological foundation for the child to grow and also to strive. It is the groundwork that enables children to develop resilience, empathy, and sense of belonging, which are crucial to their overall well-being and future success. When we talk about planting in parenting, this refers to the intentional cultivation of values. Remember, values, knowledge in a child. It is about nurturing, guiding the child's growth and development, much like a gardener tending to plant. This includes teaching important life skills, fostering intellectual and creative abilities, instilling moral values, and helping the child explore their interests and talents. The goal of planting is to help the child develop into a well-rounded, capable, and moral-grounded individual, which is always, the expectation of every parent. And when we talk about uprooting in parenting, it is about the process of letting go. It's about the process of allowing the child to become increasingly independent and self-sufficient. As a child grows, they naturally need to separate from their parents and establish their own identity and values and life paths. Uprooting involves gradually releasing control, providing child with that space and life path, that space and opportunity to make their own choice, take risks, and learn from their experience. This can be a challenging, like we all know, an emotional process for a parent, and as it requires them to trust their child, respect their autonomy, and navigate the balance between guidance and independence. Uprooting is essential for a child's healthy development, we should all know, and it enables them to become self-resilient, confident, and capable of making their own decision. Parents, providing a strong nurturing foundation. This is simply what rooting means. Intentional cultivation of the child's growth and development. This is simply what planting means. Gradual release of control and allow the child to become independent is called what? Uprooting. By embracing this holistic approach, parents can support their children's journey from dependency to autonomy, fostering overall well-being and success of the child. These three metaphors prepares the ground for our discussion: the parenthood, contemporary time, and the need to maintain focus on what the culture, what the family, and the general global village needs. Being an authentic parent, we know, in this contemporary time can be challenging. And as the pressure and expectation of modern parenting can sometimes conflict with innate desire to be genuine and true to ourselves. However, by drawing on research and experts, we can navigate this landscape and thrive to be authentic parents. In other words, we can be addressed as authentic parents in this contemporary time if certain attitudes, certain behaviors, certain characters that is required of us are maintained. And what are they? Parenting in the contemporary involves what we call emotional attunement. Parents should strive to be emotionally attuned to their children, emotional attention, feelings, and to your child, responsiveness, and helping the child feel understood and valued at every time. Parenting approach needs to be flexible in all ramifications and adaptable to the child's needs and environment as they grow and develop. That is where a good knowledge of what we call developmental stages of life comes in for every parent, because what works for a toddler may not work for a teenager. So parents must be willing to involve their parental ability and capacity in this very contemporary time. The global interest to have the ability to foster independence and autonomy is inevitable in contemporary parenting objectives. The emphasis lies heavily on supporting children's growing independence and encouraging them to make their own decisions and take responsibility for their own action within reasonable boundaries. The general encouragement have gone to the area of advising parents to embrace technology thoughtfully. Parents should navigate the digital landscape thoughtfully, setting approaches, boundaries, and guidelines around technology use, while also leveraging technology to enhance connections, to enhance learning, and also development of their own children. This, in other words, encourages that openness to the parents in the family, openness and communication also to the family and to the general world, which is among the contemporary challenges, where authenticity of the parents must be manifested. Parents should create an environment where expressing their feelings and concerns without fear or judgment or being punished. These qualities are understand the needs of challenging time and wishes to maintain focus must imbibe. A certain professor that I also so much respect, Dominic Mabanga, a professor of religion, philosophy, and theology, in one of his articles, brought some essential aspect of parenting a child in this contemporary time, which according to him are non-negotiable. And these approaches, I strongly agree with him and would like to share quickly with you as among the authentic ways of parenting and remaining focused in this God-given responsibility. One is what he calls submission. Developing respect for parents is critical factor in child management. It is imperative that a child learn to respect his parents, not to satisfy his ego, but because his relationship with them provide the basics for his later attitude towards all other people. His early view of parenting authority becomes cornerstone for his future outlook on school authority, on law enforcement officers, employers, and others with whom he will eventually live and also work. The Bible lays down several guidelines for respect for authority at home, in the state, and in the church, and even in the family. However, the modern patience of rebellion has greatly damaged the sense of authority in family and society. In fact, it had been able to cut down the ground of all certainty from under one's feet, as J.K. Chesterton pointed out in his Orthodoxy. By rebelling against everything, he has lost the right to rebel against anything. The Bible talks about foolishness being bound up in the heart of a child, and that it can only be driven out by the rod of discipline. Check Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15. The word foolishness can only be interpreted as a rebellion. However, correction should not be turned into abuse or provocation. John Dobson book, The New Day to Discipline, has some ideas to help ensure the right kind of loving discipline needed in the foundational years of the child. A rebel home will always be a rebel church. A rebel at home will always be a rebel at church, a rebel in the society, and a rebel everywhere. Our best example of foundational submission in family is our Lord Jesus Christ himself. He always acted in obedience to the will of his Father. Philippians chapter 28. Chapter 2, verse 8. Hebrew 5, 8. It also teaches that we need also to be wise and skillful in our relationship with the world. Those who use this word act not misusing it, for the form of this world is passing away. Several skills are important for a child to use the word and not misuse it. Education plays a significant role in this. Education begins at home, and finding its base therein is as seamless information like at school, college, via media, friends, etc. No education is helpful or is intended and useful unless it has a practical value in the child's world. We help them to use this word, therefore, to make the practical aspect of education properly combined. In addition to academic education, a child will also have to learn number skills that are cultural, contextual, and necessary for him to have. In order to use, he must be helpful to creatively deal with a situation. Another innegotiable also aspect of contemporary problems or issues, which in parenting in this also contemporary time, is what we call sexuality. Parents and people in general are very peculiar when it comes to sex. Instead of telling their sons and daughters everything at the age of 12, they send the children out to the room the moment the subject arises and leave them to find out everything on their own. Later on, when parents notice that their children have somehow come by their own information, they assume they know more or less, and they actually do. So why don't they try to make amends by asking them what it is all about? And Frank, in March 1944, said, in recent time, one of the greatest problems confronting society is the uncontrolled and uncensored presence of internet. The porn industry thrives by what has been called as the AAA engine. Effects of internet porn being accessible, affordable, and anonymous. Some have gone on to suggest further that it's also aggressive and addictive. In their books, Every Man's Battle and Every Young Man's Battle, Stephen and Fred Strokers present the reality of sexual temptation in every man and the young man, and suggests techniques such as bouncing one's eyes from instead of fixing one's gaze with sexual intention on someone. They also suggest the practice of starving one's eyes from stimulating images in order to keep their locks from growing stronger, and emphasize on the need of guiding oneself from the sexual scene by drawing up personal hedges around their weak spots. Parents need to make sure that then they don't allow any obscure material to stay in their home and be stimulants for temptation to growing kids. Another good book of Stephen Atterburn and the Rogamasha that might be of help in this area is Internet Protects Your Kids, which he wrote in 2027. It's very much important that the kids learn the things about sexuality, relationship with other genders at home, instead of being left to find out on by themselves by sources that are not healthy. They must be built upon emphasis on sexual purity against shifting values system to the world. Another also important point that the prof also emphasized, which I wish also share, is on cervix. So Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." 1 Samuel 3:8. Service can also be defined as a responsibility. To serve is to respond responsibly to a duty. Certain duties have revealed that lack of household chore is making children less responsible. According to the report, a study of the article advice and letter published in over 300 parenting magazines between 1920 and 2008 has found that most modern-day children are only asked to take trivial responsibility, such as feeding a pet, cleaning the table or the dining, or tidying up after things themselves. In early generation, children and adolescents were given meaningful opportunity to be responsible by contributing not only to their household, but also to a larger community, said Michael Rutherford, assistant professor of sociology. And he went further to suggest that it is important that the parents at every age also should engage their children on the area of cervix, by giving a child an appropriate task to be responsible for. Don't overwhelm a child with too much work. Expect a child to be responsible. Never call a child irresponsible. Help a child organize his schoolwork. Don't do it for her. Don't let a child take responsibility for her own. Let a child take responsibility for her own mistakes. Teach a child to manage money. Encourage a child to take a volunteer work or an after school or summer job. And finally, a serious emphasis is made on the spiritual instruction, which must not become legalistic. Spiritual instruction is important in the building of any child in this contemporary, which must not be legalistic. For the law is only a schoolmaster that brings us to Christ. Galatians will tell us, chapter 3, verse 24. Like Paul talks about heritage of faith, not law. In Timothy's family, legalism creates bondage and frustration. But when there is also that liberty, when there is also the grace and mercy are used and they strike a balance. Spiritual instruction that is not communicated from the heart of love and exemplified in the life of integrity will be spun as hypocritical and false. The general faith must be seen in order to be carried over into legacy. And as a way of conclusion, I have tried to briefly outline in this keynote and essay the various issues of parenting that are contemporary, non-negotiable. As a young minister among the youths and also the children with disability, I have also spoken from what I have seen within my own experience and experience that I had with the youth and also the children with special needs. I also try to refer to some also resources that can also be very useful for us. As we engage in this critical conversation in the next few days, I encourage every one of us to place the issue of parenting in this contemporary time as a must-do and at the center of all our responses in our life henceforth. Our global solidarity, your leadership is needed more than ever as we come together to address humanity's greatest challenge. I stand resolute and unwavering in my commitment to build a safer, happy, and compassionate world for our children. In my own case, or the special children that I stay with, and enabling our parents to achieve talks. I wish this fourth section of the Proactive Parenting Conference a fruitful deliberations, and I thank you all for your attention. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Can you hear me now? You can't seem to hear me. Okay, amazing.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for this session. This keynote speaking is fine. Thank you so very much. You have some questions here. Can we take the questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. Everyone on this stream is raving you. Everyone is raving you and thanking you for this awesome session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm trying to read. I'm trying to put up the questions.
Okay. Well, I think I have gotten the first question, which says, is it possible that a child who has been ideally loved, guided, and well trained will still go astray? As in what our people say, that a child who will go astray, no matter what, no matter what. Um, Actually, however, or how a child will be from the childhood, often some of the parents are away. In a family where you have 3 or 4 kids and you have the capacity of staying, studying them, coaching them, training them, parenting them, in most cases, you must have known the interest, the capacity, and where attitude or behavioral attitude of most of them, and or each of them. This is sometimes it helps one to what, to know on whom to be a little bit lenient, on whom to be a little bit hard, on whom to be also more serious also with. But in most cases, I also do not agree with what our people say, because if I should use an example of most of my classmates, I know most of our classmates in those days whom we thought would be useless, whom we thought, but as time went on, environment changed them, peers change them, situation of life change them, experience of life change them, and they are the best now. Some of them are working in Ghana, in Canada. Some of them are also doing well living here in Abuja, and they are contributing to the society. And so often it is not like that. A child who is properly raised, loved, and guided certainly ends up well. Even some that they think will not end up well. When we involve, like what I said, the spiritual aspect, the spirituality in our parenting, which is unavoidable, which must not be made a law, but must be made in such a way for them to see the need to impress God, the need to also seek the things that concerns God from the childhood. There is no way the person grows, he will completely leave it. And I'm very much convinced from my own personal experience of life and friends and people, what our people used to say, that a child will go say, it is not true. Many has made histories, many that they thought will be useless actually have made it in life. I hope I responded well to your questions. Are we there? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know why. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I don't know why. I can't hear you. I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing what you are. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not full. I'm not hearing. Yeah.